You know that moment when you cancel plans, and not because you're busy, but because you're afraid of what your symptoms might do in front of other people. You're going to be embarrassed. You're not going to know what to say. Well, you know what? I've been there, and I've been there more than once. And if you're nodding along, trust me, you're not alone. And today I'm going to share with you on how I got my confidence back in these social situations.
They told him he had 5 good years left. That was 15 years ago. He's still standing, still speaking, still living. This is Living with Parkinson's, the good, the bad, and the reality. A podcast about what happens when life throws you something incurable and you fight back anyway. Hosted by Bryce Perry. Diagnosed at 40, 15 years into the battle. This is the truth behind the tremor. Let's begin.
Hey, I'm Bryce, and this is Living with Parkinson's, the good, the bad, and the reality. And if you're new, welcome. This channel is a safe space for real, raw, and sometimes the hilarious truth about Parkinson's. So if you've ever felt your confidence take a hit because of your symptoms, you're in good company. Why don't you hit subscribe and share your story below in the comments? What's one thing that's challenged your confidence the most since your diagnosis? Now, let's be real. Parkinson's can do a number on your self-esteem. Symptoms flare up at the worst moments. You get embarrassed, and maybe you start avoiding people or places that you love. And the more you isolate, the harder it gets to bounce back. It's a complete spiral. For me, it was the fear of freezing in public. That was one of my big things, right? Or my voice dropping out mid sentence. I started canceling plans, and not because I didn't want to go, but because I didn't trust my own body. But it wasn't just the big events, even small everyday things like running into somebody at the grocery store and worrying, like, will I be able to get the words out? Or what if my hand shakes when I reach, for my wallet? That all can chip away at your confidence over time. And I get it. And let's be honest, Parkinson's loves to remind you who's boss in the most inconvenient moments, doesn't it? And the most inconvenient places too. Ever been stuck in a bathroom stall, fumbling with the lock and suddenly feeling like the world's closing in? Well, that's enough to make anyone think twice about leaving home. So I get it. And I want to hear from you. What everyday moments have challenged your confidence the most? I read every comment, put it in the comments. And you know what? Sharing your comment might just spur on somebody and help somebody else. So this is not just a podcast. This is a community. So get involved, please. It'll help you and it'll help somebody else. But there's something about losing confidence that goes beyond the surface. It's not just about what others see. It's about how you start seeing yourself. Now, I used to take pride in being the go-to guy, right? At work and at home, the one who never hesitated, who always showed up. But after Parkinson's, I started to doubt myself. Can I do this? You know, should I even try? You start second guessing every decision, and soon it feels like you're losing the parts of yourself that you always relied on. If you've ever felt like Parkinson's is stealing your identity along with your confidence, you're not alone in this at all. I'm still learning that it's okay to grieve those changes and that it's possible to rebuild new strengths. And and you can rebuild those new strengths even when the old ones slip away. How about this? What's one part of your old self you miss? And how have you tried to get it back or create something new? Have you thought of that often? And sometimes we don't like thinking about those things because, you know, makes us feel bad, or you don't want to drag it up. But think about what is one part of your old self that you really miss. Have you tried to bring it back? Or have you tried to create something new? That would be interesting to think about, wouldn't it? Because here's the thing. I've also had moments where out of nowhere my confidence made a comeback. Like the first time I went out for coffee alone again, even though I was scared. Or when I made it through a full day of work and I realized, hey, you know what? I'm still me. Parkinson's didn't win today. One of my favorites was when I said yes to a last minute invite with friends, even though I'm worried about my symptoms showing up. And sure enough, I did freeze up once, but you know what? Nobody really freaked out, right? And I got through it, and I even laughed about it with them later. See, the thing about getting your confidence back, it's never all at once. It's a bunch of little victories, and over time, those small wins start to add up. So if you're sitting here waiting for this moment where everything's going to change and you're just going to feel this burst of confidence and you're not going to worry about your symptoms and I'm not going to care what people think and I'm not going to care what they say. I'm just going to go out and do it. And you're waiting for this big moment. It doesn't happen like that. You're going to be waiting a long time. It's going to take a lot of these little victories, right? And the little victories pile onto each other and start to boost up your confidence. And that's when your mind starts to change. And it's those little tiny victories, those little small wins, like me going for coffee alone. Big deal, right? But I did it and I got through it. And so the next time that something's coming up that I know I want to avoid, that I want my first thing is I'm not going to go there. I want to avoid it. I don't want to be there. I don't want anything to do with it. I remind myself, okay, why am I thinking that way? Is it that I really don't want to do it? Or am I just afraid? Am I scared? Am I nervous? Am I overthinking the situation? Right? That's a big one, overthinking it. Well, I start to remind myself of these small little victories. Bryce, remember you went to the coffee shop by yourself and it was okay. You did it. You're still here. You made it. You survived. Right? So again, it's never, ever, ever all at once. It's over time. Small victories. Small victories. They start to add up. So do this. Think back. What's one moment where you surprised yourself? And it doesn't have to be lately. It could be anytime. But what's that one moment that you've surprised yourself? Even something tiny. You know what? Share it in the comments so others can find hope too. And there's something about writing it down, just kind of throwing it out into the public. Like, hey, this is what happened. This is what I did. It kind of makes it more real, right? And if you've had a win, no matter how small, share that in the comments. And if you're still working on it, hit subscribe because we're all building confidence together one step at a time. And if you're in a rough patch right now, that's okay. Sometimes just listening to someone else's story is the first step. So make sure you go through the comments and see what others are dealing with or what they've done. And you kind of build some confidence in that or, kind of get that going with yourself. So, how do we get the confidence back when Parkinson's tries to steal it? Well, here's what's helped me. Okay. Number one is I had to lower the bar for success. And sometimes just showing up is enough. And that was my bar. You know, originally my bar was up here, like, oh, I'm going to go there and I'm going to meet new friends and I'm going to talk and everybody's going to love me and everybody's going to like me and everybody's going to laugh at my jokes, right? And I'm like, and if that didn't happen, it wasn't a success. I lowered my bar now. My success is going, right? And if I go, I won. I showed up, and that's enough. Then you have to start focusing. Number two, if you're focusing on what you can control, right? You can't control every symptom. You just can't, but you can control how you respond, right? Either you make a joke about it, whether you kind of pass it off, or whether you just move on, right? You can respond. You can choose how you respond, right? If you just want to, run away and put your head in the sand, that's a response. Okay, so just choose how you can respond. Third thing you have to do is you have to let people in, right? I find the more honest I'm with my friends and my family, the less alone I feel. Be honest about your fears. Be honest about why you don't want to go on a vacation because this might happen. Be honest with your friends, people at work. Like I want to do this, but here's what I'm afraid of. And sometimes when you open that door to that, when it happens, or if it does happen, they're like more supportive. Excuse me. They're in it for you. Like they want to be there for you and they're ready for it. And then here's a big one. You need to celebrate those wins, big or small. Seriously. How about this? If you make it to the end of this video, that's a win. I know some of you might have been sitting here going like, okay, you know what? Oh, I'm trying to watch this video or I'm trying to listen to this podcast and I'm starting to get the shakes. I better go take my medication. I better lay down. I better do this. Just try. Because maybe you're making up excuses to get through it. Right. So count that as a win. I made it. And the next time that you're watching this incredible podcast with this incredible guy, which is a big joke, and you're like, you know what? I'll catch him later. Remind yourself, hey, I did it last time. I'll do it again. And it was worth it. And I got something out of it. And here's a few more. Here's a few that I'm working on. There's some new twists here. Here's what I'm working on. Talk to yourself like you would a friend. What? Yeah, talk to yourself like you would a friend. I used to beat myself up for needing help. And now I just try to remember that I'd never judge a friend for the same thing. Think about it. If a friend told you that, what they were going through, would you judge them? No, you wouldn't. So start talking to yourself. Try it. And how about this? I'm visualizing the worst case scenario. Sometimes just thinking through what actually what actually would happen if my symptoms act up. It makes it less scary. Most of the time, it's not as bad as the imagination itself and it's telling me. Like, think about it. You're imagining this awful scenario where everybody's staring at you and you're embarrassed and you can't move and things are happening and all heck's breaking loose, right? And is that really the reality of what would happen? Just really, really walk that through in your head. It's not as bad as we make it be, right? It's that fear. That fear is trying to hold us into that. What's your confidence boost? What is your go-to? Do you have a go-to confidence boost? And any tips for staying positive when things get tough? I want to hear about those ideas and maybe even try them myself. So throw those in the comments as well. I'd really like to start a conversation about this. And here's a challenge. I have a challenge for you this week. This week, right? I want you to pick one small thing that scares you, and I want you to do it. Scares you, or you're nervous about it, or you don't want to do it, or you know you're calling it in, right? You know, maybe it's calling a friend, maybe it's texting somebody back, maybe it's going for a walk, or maybe it's just, sharing your story in the comments. Let's push back together. And if you're comfortable, let's try something brand new. Share a confidence buddy moment below. Someone who's encouraged you or someone you've encouraged, and let's build each other up. Someone in the community even that just says, you've got encouragement from their comments. Wouldn't that be interesting? If you are one of my regular audience, and there's a lot of you out there, and you read the comments, and maybe there's a certain comment that really resonated with you that came from somebody, maybe call that out in these comments, right? And that would give the other person confidence in what they were doing. Think about it. That's how a community works, right? We lift each other up, right? You lift somebody up, someone else lifts you up, and it just goes hand in hand. And I know this is, you love these, but here's today's Bryce-ism, okay? With Parkinson's, confidence isn't about being scared. It's about showing up anyway, even when your hands are shaking. We're in this together, friends. And even if your hands shake, your voice cracks, or you've had a bad day, you're part of a community that gets it. So if you found something helpful, please subscribe for more honest stories and community support. It's incredible. This is an actual movement. It's a community. It's not about me. It's all in all. So read through the comments, see how people are engaging. It's a wonderful place to be. And if you want to even go deeper, check out the inner circle if you want to connect even more. And all the links are in the description below. But thanks for being here. And thanks for showing up, not just for me, but for yourself. So remember, stay bold, stay real, and keep doing life. And I want you to do it your way.